It was during my usual graveyard shift at the 24-hour on-campus library when I first stumbled upon the hidden threat that would unravel the normalcy of my life. The library was dimly lit, and the only sound was the occasional rustling of pages and the soft hum of fluorescent lights. My job was simple: ensure the books were in order, help the occasional student with their research, and keep the place tidy. Little did I know that this unassuming night would change everything. As I was reshelving books, I noticed a dusty, leather-bound tome tucked away on the bottom shelf of the rarely visited occult studies section. It was out of place amidst the rows of history books and esoteric manuscripts. Curiosity got the better of me, and I retrieved the book, revealing a cover that seemed to absorb the ambient light, making it difficult to discern its details. With trembling hands, I opened the book to the first page and was greeted by spidery handwriting that seemed to have been penned eons ago. The text detailed accidents and atrocities that had plagued our school for decades: tragic fires, unexplained disappearances, and bizarre deaths. Some were eerily similar to incidents I'd heard whispers of in hushed conversations over the years. As the weeks went by, I became obsessed with the book's contents. I was determined to find out who had written this macabre chronicle and why. My research led me to the name of a former student who had mysteriously vanished, leaving this book behind. Meanwhile, I couldn't help but notice the peculiar behavior of my fellow night owl, a girl named Sarah. She frequented the library during my shifts, always sitting in a dimly lit corner, poring over her books. Her dark, haunted eyes and her hushed conversations with thin air gave me an unsettling feeling. One chilly night, the inciting incident occurred. Sarah was sitting near the library window, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the moon. I approached her, concern etched on my face, and asked if she was all right. She merely nodded, her eyes fixed on something outside. But then, as if guided by an invisible hand, Sarah climbed onto the window ledge and, before I could react, she fell. The blood-curdling scream echoed through the library, and I rushed to the window to see her lifeless body on the cold pavement below. The following week was a blur. The police ruled Sarah's death an accident, a result of her sleepwalking. I couldn't accept that explanation, not after what I had discovered in that cursed book. I spent countless nights piecing together the events surrounding Sarah's demise and the eerie connection between the handwritten chronicle and her death. It was on one of these nights that I saw Professor Davis, a beloved figure on campus, hunched over the same ominous book in the darkest corner of the library. Fear and disbelief gripped me as I watched him scribble in the book with manic fervor. It was then that I began to doubt everything: the nature of reality, the intentions of those around me, and the sinister forces that lurked in the shadows. With Professor Davis's involvement in the sinister book, I knew the situation had taken a terrifying turn. Until now, I had been an observer, piecing together the cryptic puzzle of the book's contents, but now I was actively drawn into the enigma. The library at night felt like a haunted place, and the incidents I'd read about in the book started manifesting around me. Lights flickered inexplicably, and the air grew icy cold. I stumbled upon pages in the book that detailed my own actions and thoughts as if I were being watched and documented. The first real confrontation with the ominous presence came when I heard a mournful whisper in the darkness, my name spoken in a voice that sent shivers down my spine. I knew then that the threat was real and aware of my existence. As I delved deeper into the mysteries of the book, it became clear that the threat was a malevolent entity tied to the school's dark history. It was relentless in its pursuit, and the campus itself seemed to conspire against me. Shadows elongated, footsteps echoed from unseen corners, and ghostly apparitions materialized at the edge of my vision. Professor Davis's transformation was evident to me, though no one else seemed to notice. He grew increasingly gaunt, his eyes empty of humanity. He began muttering incantations under his breath and locking himself in his office, where eerie whispers emanated. Driven by desperation and the need for answers, I confronted Professor Davis one fateful night. He stared at me with hollow eyes, a wicked smile tugging at his lips. He revealed that he had summoned the entity to achieve ultimate knowledge and power, and it had demanded a terrible price: innocent lives. I begged him to stop, to undo the malevolent pact he had forged, but it was too late. The threat materialized before us, a grotesque, shape-shifting entity that defied the laws of reality. It laughed, a cacophonous, otherworldly sound that chilled my soul. I got so scared that I lost all my composure and fled the library immediately, the book clutched tightly in my trembling hands. I was more alone than ever before, my isolation exacerbated by the realization that the threat was not just an external force but a reflection of the internal conflicts and darkness within us all. It fed on fear, despair, and the fractured souls of those it ensnared. Each day brought new horrors, and I questioned my own sanity. Was I just a pawn in this malevolent entity's game? Had I become as deluded as Professor Davis? I couldn't escape the feeling that I was responsible for the evil that now haunted our campus. In the darkest hour of my torment, I stumbled upon a revelation that would change everything. I found a forgotten journal, written by the student who had initially started the cursed book 3 decades ago. The journal contained the key to undoing the entity's grip on our world, a ritual, hidden in plain sight, that could imprison the threat once and for all. With newfound determination, I pieced together the ritual's components and understood that it required a sacrifice, a willing one, made by someone who had faced their inner demons and found redemption. The journal's author had tried and failed, and the threat had continued its reign of terror. Armed with this knowledge, I returned to the library, my heart pounding in my chest. The threat sensed my purpose and was relentless in its pursuit. It twisted reality around me, manifesting horrors from the depths of our collective nightmares. I tracked down Professor Davis, now a mere shell of his former self, and convinced him of the truth. Together, we sought out a way to complete the ritual, knowing it was the only chance to save our souls and the school itself. As we conducted the ritual, the library became a nightmarish battlefield. The threat fought back with every ounce of its supernatural power, conjuring phantasms and twisting the very fabric of reality. Professor Davis, despite his earlier folly, found the strength to make the ultimate sacrifice. He confronted his inner demons and offered himself willingly, sealing the entity within the cursed book. But the victory came at a great cost. The entity's malevolence seeped into me, leaving my soul forever scarred. I had become the keeper of the book, tasked with ensuring it never fell into the wrong hands again. The threat was defeated, but evil never truly perished. The school returned to a semblance of normalcy, oblivious to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. I continued to work the graveyard shift, guarding the library and the malevolent secrets it held. As time passed, I couldn't escape the feeling that the threat's presence lingered, waiting for another unwitting soul to unleash it. The campus remained shrouded in an eerie, oppressive atmosphere, and I couldn't help but wonder if I had merely reset a cycle that would haunt future generations. I had been forever changed by my ordeal, seeing the world through jaded eyes. I couldn't erase the memory of Professor Davis's sacrifice or the chilling laughter of the entity. And as I watched over the library, I knew that, despite my victory, the darkness still whispered its secrets, and the threat lurked, biding its time for the next unsuspecting victim.